In this lesson, we will talk about the head element and all the elements that are inserted inside this element. The head element is a very important element, and it is the first element that is inserted in the HTML tag. So it's the first element that is loaded before the body element. The head element is a very important element because it includes HTML elements which are very important for the HTML document, for the web browser, and especially for the search engine. In the HTML tag, we can insert a couple of HTML elements, and those are the title element, the meta element, the link element, the style element, the script element, the no script element, and the base element. Most of these elements can only be inserted in the head element. Only the script element can be inserted in the body element too. The elements that are inside the head element provide information about the page, for example, about the view of the page, or gives information to the search engines to better locate the page. The first element we will explain is the title element, which is consisted of an opening and a closing tag. The title element is used to set the title of the web page. The title of the web page is located in the tab in which the page is opened or in the window in which the page is opened. The title element is a must-have element in the HTML document. When we were talking about the basic structure in HTML, we've mentioned that the title element is a must-have element, and without it, the HTML page won't be validated as a web page. The title element, it is used to index the structure of the web page, and it is also used by the search engines to better locate the web page, and also to get the title of the web page and show it in the search results before the user accesses the page. So that is one of the reasons why the head element needs to be loaded before the body element. The next element is the style element. The style element is a pair element, and it is used to style the web page. So it is used to insert style code, which will be later applied to the body element. So this style code is applied to the body element, and that code is inserted between the opening and the closing tag of the style element. So this is the internal styling, but we also have an external styling. The external styling is done using the link element. The link element, it is used to load an external file in the HTML document. In this case, most usually it is used to load a CSS file. So with the link element, we are applying an external styling, a style that is located in an external CSS file. One of the most important attributes is the rel attribute, which is short for relation, and it is used to set the relationship between the HTML document and the external file that is loaded. In this case, that relationship is a style sheet. So we are loading a style inside the HTML document. The second important attribute is the type attribute, which is used to set the type of the file which we are loading. In this case, that is the text/CSS. This tells the web browser, the web engine, that the file we are loading is a text-formatted CSS file. So it is readable same as the HTML file. And the last attribute is the href attribute, which is used to set the path to the external CSS file. For example, we could type index. The index is the file name, and .css will be the extension of the style sheet file. So to load an external file which contains styles, it must have the CSS extension. So with the link element, we are doing external styling, and with the style tag, we are doing internal styling. So we have different type of styles, which I will explain in the next upcoming lessons. The next head element is the script element. The script element, it is used to insert the script, the logic of the web page. So here we will insert the JavaScript code. The script tag is a pair element, and it is very similar to the link element and to the style element. So the JavaScript code is inserted between the opening and the closing tag of the script element, similar to the style tag. The only difference is that with the script tag, not only we can load an internal JavaScript code, but we can also load an external JavaScript code. One of the most important attributes is the type attribute, which is used to set the type of the file which we are loading, similar to the link element type attribute. So the script element, it is very similar to the style tag and to the link tag. With the script tag, we can insert the code internally, or we can insert the external JavaScript file path, similar to the href attribute of the link element, where we set the path to the external CSS file. But first we need to set the type which we will load. Usually developers type text/JavaScript. So similar to the text/CSS in the link element, here we have text/JavaScript. And the last important attribute in the script element is the src attribute, which means source for short. And inside here we will type the path to the JavaScript file, similar to the href attribute. Instead of the href attribute, here we have the src attribute. But if we want to insert an internal JavaScript code, we can't insert it in the same script element. For that, we need to insert another script element if we want to load another external file or type internal JavaScript code. The next element is the noScript element. The noScript element is a pair element, and it is used to set a text which will be shown if the browser doesn't support JavaScript, or maybe it's disabled by the user. So the text that will be inserted between the opening and the closing tag of the noScript element will be shown if there isn't a JavaScript engine running in the browser, because it happens that the browser doesn't support that version of the JavaScript, or it's too old to even support JavaScript, or maybe the user disabled the JavaScript on purpose. So if that happens, when the user opens the web page, he will get a message that your browser doesn't support JavaScript. But it's really rare to find a browser that doesn't support JavaScript. The next element is the base element, which I will explain its functionality in the next upcoming lessons. Because at the moment, if I try to explain you what is the base element, it will just confuse you. I will explain the base element after we learn the image element and the anchor element. The last element I will show you is the meta element. The meta element is an empty element, and it provides data about data. With other words, it provides information about data. So it provides so-called metadata about the web page. This metadata is not user readable, but it is machine parsable. So this metadata is used by the search engines and the web browser to properly display the web page and find the web page. The meta element provides lots of information like viewport, how to display the web page, what is the outer of the web page, the description, and even set keywords on the web page, so that when the user uses a search engine to search something on the website, and if the keywords that the user entered in the search engine match with the keywords we have inserted in our page, the page could be displayed in the top results of the search engine results. Again, it depends on how many keywords match with the user keywords. So, if you guess, we can insert multiple meta elements in the head element. So now we will write all three meta elements, and we will insert keywords, the outer, and the description for the web page. So first, we will insert the keywords. To do that, we need to use the name attribute to set the name of the meta element, in this case keywords, and then we need to use the content attribute to set the content of the meta element, in this case to set the keywords about our web page. To insert multiple keywords, we only need to separate them with a comma. How you will write the keywords depends on you. You can either write them with an uppercase letter or with a lowercase letters, or mixing them both. So with the keywords we have inserted is head, CSS, HTML, tutorial, video, and beginner. So if any of these keywords matches, our web page will be shown in the top results. The second meta element we will type is the outer meta element. Again, we will use the name attribute to set the meta name, and then the content attribute to set the content of the meta element, in this case the name of the outer. which is Angelko Milchevsky, which is of course me. And the last meta element we'll type is the description meta element to set the description about our web page, and the description will be again set in the content attribute. So the description about the page is that this is a site with video tutorials about the web. So this is how to insert meta elements in the head element. But developers usually order the head elements in the web page. From my experience, from what I've seen, developers follow some order of writing the head elements inside the head element. So first is the meta element. Usually the meta element is the one that is written first in the head element, because the meta element provides machine perceivable information, including setting the encoding of the page. The second, if you need it, is the base element, which I will also explain in the next upcoming lessons. Then it comes the external style sheet with the link element. Then it comes the style element with the internal styling. After that is the script element, and usually first the external JavaScript code is loaded and then the internal JavaScript code. After that we have the noScript tag, which is barely used, and last is the title element, with which we can set the title of the web page. So this is the order that I've seen in most of the websites on the internet. So that's all for this tutorial lesson about the head elements. And remember, don't forget to include the title element in your basic HTML page.